All right. We're live here at the ARA show with Elliot Vigil. Elliot, welcome to the
Kyle,
podcast.
it's always a pleasure getting to speak with you.
Likewise, episode number 94 of the Rental Roundtable. It's Tuesday at noon, so we're halfway through the show. This is the second one we did to Anthony Durante on Sunday. It's been fun doing this live.
I agree with you, and it's fun because you see people walking by, you get the interaction, you get the energy of the show. I think this is an absolutely outstanding format.
And I think it's interesting from the Sunday episode, we were kind of leading into the show. We're now halfway through the show. I want to ask you observations halfway through the ARA show. What are people talking about? What's different this year than last year? What's the vibe?
So the biggest thing that I'm noticing, so two things. Last year, I'll be honest with you, the energy was a little bit down. I think the sales were a little bit down. The reason why is I think most people saw the bubble. We all saw it. 22, 23, they saw the bubble. Everybody went out. They tried to buy equipment. They couldn't. 2024, the equipment industry released a lot of that equipment. Outstanding. Love it. And then 2025, there wasn't a need to buy because you either bought what you needed to buy or the interest rates were too high and you weren't doing it. Uncertainty, political changes, all of those affected the overall kind of environment. I think this year, and I would love your opinion, I noticed on the show floor, stepping into your booth, some of the other technology companies, I noticed that the biggest energy I'm seeing at the show is people are looking for competitive advantages that might be different than equipment. They're looking for technology or things they're going to save in the margin. What are you seeing?
Yes, I totally agree. I think there's a lot of excitement for this year, a lot of energy, a lot of buzz, a lot of positivity. I think this is a year of slowing growth. I think you're still growing. It's a little bit more competitive. So you got to find that edge. Used to be if you had equipment, you could grow, right? And now you actually have to execute well. You have to have good technology, good people, and it's been exciting. It's been awesome. One group came up to me and they said, "Kyle, we listened to the podcast, and a question I have is, we're at 500K of annual rental revenue. We want to grow to the next level. What advice do you have?" And I said, well, I've never run a rental company, so I'm the last person to talk to. And when I was thinking about what advice would I give, and I told them, I was like, well, you got to have the data, the technology, all that stuff. But I think being customer first, relational focus on sales, being in the field. I think the companies that do the best are the ones that are focused on growth and focused on the customer. And I say, you got to ask Elliot. So I'm going to ask that question for you. What advice would you have for someone who's 500,000 in revenue, wanting to grow to the next level? What piece of advice would you give them?
So I will default, and I've said this a number of times. You know this as a business owner, and you know how much I respect you. Right now, we have to learn, there's what's known as the Pareto principle. Pareto principle is really simple. 20% of your customers give you 80% of your business. And when you look at that, it means that you have a relationship with them. The problem that I find is I put out a great content. You put out this, and congratulations on 94 episodes. That is epic. You put out amazing content. People know who you are. They know who I am. The biggest thing that they look for is they need proof. So they will call you up and they're like, look, I know what Quipli is. I know who you are. I've watched your podcast. I've talked to people. I need to now, and I need confirmation, and they need to interact with you. I have people this morning, they're like, hey, can we have breakfast? I'm like, okay, well, I have 300 videos out there. You probably know who I am. And they're like, we need confirmation. I realize they don't need confirmation. They need relationships. And every single one of us out here, we're in the relationship business. And you start realizing that you don't want more data. Data confirms your relationships. You don't need better software. You need software that helps you manage your relationships and make it easier for your customers to do business with you. But people still do business with people. You have customers, the interactions you and I've had, I know about your kids. You know about my life. Like, even though we don't sell to one another, there's that relationship. And I think all of us are looking for somebody that cares about us and cares about what we care about. And so we all have to have that relationship side. What do you think?
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, as a software tech person, I like to think everyone compares all the features, and I've got 9 features, you've got 8 features, sort of thing. And that's true. The technology has to work. But I believe when people buy, they buy emotionally, and then they justify it, they rationalize it later. And right, so who do you buy from emotionally? You buy from, we talked about this yesterday, right? You buy from people you know and you trust and you love. And I think that's what so special about the ARA show in this industry is when you show up consistently. This is my 5th ARA show. I've only been in the industry 5 years, so every year we come and you start to see the same people. And it's like, oh, I saw you 3 years ago, 2 years ago, 1 year ago. And some of the people who've started working with us even this week signed with us at the booth. They said, Kyle, we're going with you. We got great technology, but we're going with you guys because you commit to the industry, right? And they feel like, right? And that's what you've been doing too, right? It's about showing up consistently, serving people. So the question on how do you grow from 500K to $1 million, that's like the last step. That's like the scorecard after you've done the other stuff, right? And it's really about serving your customers, right? I mean, that's what your whole thing is.
100%. You nailed it.
Yeah.
And I agree with you 100% when you said everybody buys with emotion and they justify with logic.
Yeah.
The problem that we have in the industry is we've been taught. I was taught.
Yeah.
Somebody went out and you just nailed it. You said, here's all the features and benefits, features and benefits. I remember being a little boy and somebody came to our house selling vacuums. Yes, I'm that damn old. And they came door to door selling vacuums.
Yeah.
And the guy said, features and benefits, features and benefits, features and benefits. The problem is our customers are all brilliant. They're extremely intelligent.
Yeah.
And if they don't know something, Google it.
Yeah.
It's a phrase.
Yeah.
Chat GPT it. You can learn about anything. The truth is I can go to a restaurant. I know how to eat. You know how to eat. But we'll still ask the waitress, what's the best thing on the menu? What's the most popular thing that gets ordered?
Yeah.
What do most people come to your restaurant for? We need those trusted advisors. And when you opened up and you said people that we trust, you want somebody who's been down the road like you've been down the road.
Yeah.
When you open the company up, everybody's like, I don't know if I trust Kyle. He's new to it.
Yeah.
Quipli sounds like a weird name.
We got that a lot.
and then they sit there and they say, well, I know somebody who's used it.
Yeah.
And I trust that person. Therefore, I trust Kyle and the Quipli team.
Yeah.
Therefore, I know that this is something that's going to have my best interest in mind.
Yeah, totally agree. I mean, this is first 2 years, people said, nice booth, nice to meet you. We want to see you here 3 years in a row before we talk to you.
Isn't that crazy?
And they were honest about that. And I was having lunch over at one of the tables over here, and a guy just came over quietly, and he just put down his brochure. He was putting on all the tables.
Yes.
And he didn't say anything. And I'm like, first of all, I'm not going to buy any equipment. Yeah, that's not my thing.
I'm not buying the buckets that he was handing out flyers for.
But I was like, man, Elliot would rip this guy. That's not how you do it. I mean, right? Like, oh, I'm just going to features. I'm not even going to talk to you. He didn't even say anything. Didn't say hi.
I know.
Introduce yourself.
He came to my table too.
Okay, you know what we're talking about, right? So, okay, that is what not to do, right? And trying to growing your business, building relationships. How do you build trust with a new group, right? Like a group you want to tap into, a new market you want to get to. How do you build that trust over time?
Consistency. And I think it's I know that sounds really simple. People are like, oh, well, I've always been in business. But when we evaluate relationships, and we can talk business, we can also talk relationships with family members or business colleagues. If you look at the people on your team, whatever your team is, if you got a great rental company, I'm going to tell you the person you give all the work to. The one that consistently performs.
Yeah.
Now that's good and bad because guess what you're doing? You're putting a lot of workload on 1 to 2 people.
Right.
And you're neglecting the growth of other people. But when we know somebody is consistently going to perform, we build trust with them.
Yeah.
And then that trust turns into business. It turns into relationships. And I think that what most people look for in business is they look for the magic pill.
Yeah.
The magic pill is I'm going to walk in. I'm going to say, hi, my name's Elliot. You're going to say, great to meet you. And I'm going to say, you know what you need to do is trust me.
Right.
I tell everybody, whether you want to hear it or not, we are all gas station sushi. And what I mean by that is I don't eat gas station sushi, and neither do you. And the reason why is it's highly sus, as my daughter would say. And because you don't trust it. Now, they wouldn't sell it if somebody didn't buy it.
Yeah.
Which means somebody bought it, didn't get sick, and they said, this is a better deal, and they repeatedly do it. That consistency is what builds trust. And the problem that most people have is they don't know how to accelerate trust. They don't know how to build consistency, and they don't understand. I was just at a major conference.
Yeah.
One of the largest construction companies in North America was on a panel.
Yeah.
And this gentleman said the number one thing he wants is consistency of service, honesty and communication, and he wants to know you genuinely and honestly care. He goes, if I'm a transaction to you, I'll find somebody who's going to lose sleep if my company isn't cared for. He goes, that's the person I want right now. He goes, because there's lots of vendors.
Yeah.
There's not many people who care.
100%. Maybe ask you, what do you think the best coffee in America is right now? What's your favorite coffee personally, actually? Let me ask you that question.
You know, I don't drink a ton of coffee. No, I do have, I like a good matcha. We went over to Japan.
Yeah. Okay.
I fell in love with matcha. If I'm going to get my caffeine dose, there you go. I like a good chai. The cinnamon.
Do you drink a lot of caffeine?
I don't.
Oh, I want to see Elliot on caffeine. That would be.
You don't?
I drink a lot of caffeine because I'm a dad of 3 little kids. And
yes.
What I'm getting at is,
I had a Red Bull once. Red Bull sent an apology letter to everybody I knew.
Is that where they gave the Red Bull gives you wings? They came after you drank it.
That was the story about me.
So Starbucks, right? Like, why are they the biggest coffee chain in America? It's not because they have the best coffee.
No,
they do not. Nobody would say they have the best coffee, but they're most consistent. You know what you're getting, right? Every day. You know it's the same, and you can be in Boston or Florida or anywhere. You're getting the same cup of coffee. It's the consistency. There's Mr. Warren Clayton over there. He was on the podcast. Hey, Warren.
How you doing, Warren?
So that consistency, right? That is what people buy. So, I mean, Starbucks has built over decades, for 30, 40, 50 years. And I think that is the key, what we're talking about, right? It's consistency. And I think what people don't understand is like what I've learned myself that I didn't understand is consistency compounds. It's not linear. So showing up year 2, year 3, year 4, all of a sudden it's like, wow, it's the same show, but it's 50% grower every year. That compounds on itself, right? I think that compound, especially with relationships, compounding trust. That is how I think you build great organization. My dad, I've said this a lot on the podcast, my dad always said, to 10 years of all-nighters to be an overnight success.
Amen.
10 years of consistent overnight. And then everyone goes, look at that guy. He did. The people said that about Elliot. Elliot.
Overnight success.
Elliot. People have said that. That Elliot guy came out of nowhere. He just popped up, right? And you just started doing.
With Lauren's help.
Lauren Mao's also on the podcast. Hey, Lauren. A lot of podcasting. I had Josh Moscow walk by. I've been noticing people. Man, I'm getting off track here.
So I'm gonna pose a question to you. I think you're 100% spot on when you say consistency builds compounding trust.
Yeah.
And if you think about just dating a human being, we can talk business, but the first week that you're dating somebody, you don't know if you trust them.
Dating advice?
I am 100% dating advice. But year 3, 4, and 5, you start understanding the type of person you have a relationship with.
Yeah.
And you know that if they don't call you for 45 minutes, it's not because they stopped loving you.
Right.
It's because you understand that they get busy or you understand their life.
Yeah.
With that, I'm going to pose a question to you because you deal with all kinds of businesses, startups to mid-size to larger companies. What's the fastest way? What's your magic pill on how to build consistency and trust with a new customer, new client, new vendor, new supplier?
That's a great question. I think what you didn't say directly, which I'm glad you didn't say, is how could you shortcut trust? How can I grow? How can I take the shortcuts? Right? Because first of all, I don't think there are shortcuts. I think for me, what do we see over here?
All the guys over there from Action Rents and California. So they're all a bunch of these guys sitting down here. Jake is an absolute beast when it comes to amazing leadership. And the owner, the guy down there in the very front leading his team, amazing leadership. They've built an amazing company up there in California. And they're just pretty impressive on how they do stuff.
Oh, we know those guys. They're good.
Yeah, they are really good.
So next year, we already told Lauren we're going to do this live in the floor. We're already committed to this, is what Lauren said we're going to do. So we're going to have a lot more interaction. So I think the biggest thing like we've learned is just doing what you're going to. It's obvious stuff. It's basic stuff. Doing what you say you're going to do consistently. I think for me, what I think about is I'm going to look at the inputs. Can I show up every day? Like for this podcast, we first couple didn't go so well. A lot of people didn't listen, but I said, I'm going to do 50 every week. I'm going to do 50 in a year. And at the end of the year, I'll decide if we want to keep doing this. Right? And it grew. We had over 10,000 listens last year and continued to grow. But I didn't see it after the first one or the second one or the third one. It was the consistent input showing up. It's like exercising, anything like that. So for our team, like obviously there's a P&L. We all have to have metrics we have to perform at the end of the day. But we really focus on the activity, the consistency. Every day, consistency. We don't work 90 hours a week. It's just consistent compounding effects over time. So for our customers, we show up on time. We do it. We're not trying to get a testimonial from you on day one. We're not trying to get you to add your second location day 2. We show up and serve them well over time, and I think that consistency is what matters.
So how do I accelerate that? So if I'm sitting here right now and I say, look, there's data centers, there's all this business going on, I'm starting a rental company, or my rental company, I'm hiring my first sales rep, or I'm opening a second location. You know what the problem is? That takes a lot of time and a lot of money.
Yeah.
And if you're saying consistency, how do I give that caffeine to consistency? How do I make somebody trust me faster?
You would know better than me. I don't know if you can.
No, I want you to answer that one.
I mean, how do you trust someone faster? I mean, I just think you be yourself, be authentic. You know, I don't know. I mean, do what's right, do your best, treat others the way you want to be treated. Those are 3 rules that my dad taught me.
Yeah.
I don't worry so much about like, I want to get you to trust me as fast as possible. I want to be myself and be authentic. And if we jive and you trust me, great. And if not, and there are a lot of people listen, you know, Kyle, I've seen your video, you're not for me. That's great, because that you're not a fit for us. You don't see our vision. We're not for every rental company, right? So I don't view it as like how quickly can I get you to trust me. I think it's probably as quickly as dating. Are we the right fit? And the way you find that out is you be yourself, right? You're authentic, and that's what I would say.
I'm going to go with 2 things. One, be authentic. If you try and please everyone, you'll please nobody.
Yeah.
You really need to come across authentic and find your customer base. Somebody sits there and they're like, I ask sales rep all the time, I'm like, who's your ideal client? And they say, everybody.
Yeah.
No, it's not, because some people don't pay well. Some people beat up your equipment. Some people return stuff and they don't want to pay for over hours or fuel. That may not be your ideal client. You have to have an idea of what you want. So authenticity is great, so people know what they're dealing with.
Right.
The secondary part of that is, here's the biggest thing I think. If you're going to build trust, ask amazing questions. If I came to you and I said, hey, I'm going to tell you right now, tell me all about your software. Well, you can give me all the features and benefits you want. What I would say is what are you trying to build? What would the perfect software platform look like to you? How do you know that your software right now is serving your customers, your team? I think the better questions you ask, people are more likely to trust you when they know that you genuinely are engaged, you genuinely care, and you ask questions. The problem is we are so quick right now. TikTok, whatever you want to call it, our brains are being taught to regurgitate and pump out information and then let somebody else sift it. I would say the single most powerful thing you can do is have an inquisitive mind to learn about what they want. And if they're not the right fit for you, you know what you can do is walk away. But if you don't seek out alignment by questioning them, you're going to make a lot of business mistakes.
I mean, asking questions, people's favorite topic in the world is themselves.
Yeah.
You ask it questions, see somebody else over here.
Well, so Matt right there is having a big day. He works for this company called Sunbelt. And I don't know if you know, but they rang the bell on the New York Stock Exchange today. So it's kind of a big deal for Matt. And then that cute little one hiding behind the light over there works for a competitor, and the 2 of them date. So like every night when they get home, like they yell and scream at each other and then kiss and go to sleep. It's very interesting. Yes.
2 years.
Right. I didn't want to get into all that because I don't know how the
that was one of my
work.
Matt listens to the podcast.
Thank you.
All right, so halfway through the show, a lot of optimism. People are excited. Where's the next few years go? Where do you think the rental industry goes? Who are the ones who are going to win?
So that's an insightful question. So right now, if you talk to all the economists, the economists take a entire look of the market. And then they compile it down and they give an average. So if you read the ARA news, if you read all that, they're like, oh, it's relatively flat with slight growth at 2.8%, yada, yada. That is a compilation of the entire market. I go to lots of shows. You see me run around bumping into your team all over the planet. And what I have found right now is that there are pockets of success. And I'm only going to talk about parts of Texas. Virginia. Virginia right now has 660 data centers. Now, you can't shift the entire planet's worth of equipment. But there's going to be, and I'm going to call it a black hole, a suck. So in Virginia, that fleet is being sucked in from the surrounding areas into Virginia. Maybe it's from the Big Five. Maybe it's from people who have equipment sitting. Maybe it's from dealers. But it's getting pulled into those markets. Same thing with Texas. Same thing with these markets. And I think those markets are bringing up the average.
Yeah.
The thing that we're not thinking about is that there's some place who doesn't have a lot of data centers. They don't have big solar fields. They don't have these major construction. And they're looking at it and they're like, this is a terrible year.
Yeah.
And then you look at somebody who's near, we'll say Abilene, Texas,
yeah.
and that guy's saying, well, they're doing $100 billion project.
Yeah.
The sheer volume of equipment, everybody's calling me and they're like, Elliot, do you know who has any of this equipment within a 200 to 300 mile radius?
Yeah.
Because this project is sucking it in.
Yeah.
And then you look at somebody and you say, hey, and I'll not to pick on anybody, but we're in North Dakota, where oil and gas is not as booming anymore. Yeah. Soon will be with the price of oil today. But we're looking at the market and we're not seeing the same level of boom. We're down by 20%. And then you see these other guys. So for me, I think you have to really do hardcore evaluations. I wouldn't listen to the economists. You have to make a personal evaluation of your marketplace. You got to talk to your customers.
Yeah.
If you talk to the economists, it's flat.
Yeah.
If you're doing business in Virginia, which I was just in Norfolk and I was just in Richmond,
yeah,
they're like, dude, it is broken busy. Like, we're over 100% growth. Okay, well, they didn't see that in Northern California.
Right.
So you have to be smart enough to evaluate your own business, your own market, and the number one thing you can do, listen to your customers. Ask them one key phrase. What does your backlog look like? What's your business going to do for the next year? What have you been awarded? And then you become that partner and you grow and you buy fleet intelligently rather than based on an economist who's looking at housing growth across the entire country.
Do you get a sense that these data centers that are driving a lot of this growth in Texas and Northern Virginia and these areas, do you get a sense that these data centers are going to continue? Do you think it's a short-term thing? Because it's driving a lot of the growth in the industry right now.
100%. So I've had the pleasure of talking to wicked cool people like you.
Yeah.
People like the Chief Technology Officer of Amazon AI.
They're putting a lot of money into this.
They a little bit.
Yeah.
And so I see two things. I think between now and 2032, data centers, which right now equate for between 27 and 32% of the commercial construction revenue. They differ depending on where you're at.
About 30%.
About 30%.
Today.
So we're all seeing it. Nobody can deny it on the show floor or anywhere else. Everybody knows what AI is doing. Elon Musk made a comment somewhere, and I wish I knew where it was, where he said, I'm just going to put data centers in outer space because I don't need to worry about water for cooling. I don't need to worry about power because I can have them solar powered, and I can put them in outer space, and it just got massively cheaper. The biggest thing that I think, if we're going to plan, I think data centers will dominate the industry being built around the United States till 2032.
Okay.
I think between 2030 and 2035, we're going to have major infrastructure changes because the two things that every data center needs, power and water for cooling.
Right.
And that will become the hottest commodity ever. If you look at it, the other thing is right now, Caterpillar stock, they're a 100-year-old company this year.
Yeah.
Their stock jumped by 60% in 2025. If your stock jumps by 60% and you're a 100-year-old company, you're doing something that's getting a lot of attention that people are buying that stock. And I'll tell you what happened. They are making some of the best generators and power in the industry. They're making the best generators and power in the industry, and people need to power all these generators. So that's a big shift in the market. But if I were being a smart rental company, I would look at what am I doing to support data centers now, and then infrastructure, pump, and power coming up in 2030 to 2034.
Yeah.
And it's going to make a shift. They're already noticing it. The biggest thing that people are seeing right now is they're calling it specialty rentals, pump, power, heating and air, all of that.
Yeah. Well, with Anthony on Sunday's episode, I asked him, do you think AI is overhyped or underhyped? We have a couple minutes left. What do you think? Overhyped or underhyped, and particularly in equipment rental?
Underhyped or overhyped? I'm going to go with that it is probably underhyped.
Yeah, 100%.
100%. And the reason why I say underhyped is I don't think people have yet grasped how to effectively and efficiently use AI the way it's built, or even how to develop their own bots within their organizations. I know you just released that you developed bots, and I don't even know if people know what that is, but basically, how do you have a personal assistant that handles the mundane everyday tasks? And I don't think people have understood that, and people are still reading through all of their emails rather than just having an AI bot that watches how you do it and summarizes it, or better yet, it knows you don't read anything and gets rid of it.
Yeah, 100%. I read an article about AI, how this is February 2020. Remember what that was like? Everything was fine in the world, and it wasn't. March 2020, everything switched. So I think a couple ways. I think AI is going to totally revolutionize how rental companies operate. They're going to be way more efficient, way more productive. In addition, insane amount of spending happening with the data centers, and that's going to be a huge boom. So that's what changed with Caterpillar. It wasn't that their product got better by 60% this year. Is that the market changed. There's a stair-step shift in the market where people saw these AI data centers coming.
Excellent.
That's going to continue. I know we're out of time. Elliot, thank you for coming today.
Dude, I'm going to tell you right now, thank you for creating amazing conversations that serve the industry and make us all think. Because I'm going to tell you what we need to do. We need to think. And I'm going to give you the last thing. You don't just talk about being authentic. You are, and I respect the hell out of that.
Thank you.
Thank you for what you do.
Elliot.
Thank you, Tom. Have a great one. Thank you, Lauren. Thank you.
Thanks, Eric.